Hi everyone, this is Gayle, and I am going to do something this time that I've really been wanting to do for a while, but it just seems like my schedule didn't allow me to have the time to put into it. And I will warn you now though, there's several steps to this, so there may be lots of breaks in the tutorial because it requires several different bakings, and I can kind of do one ahead of time, but after, I can't do all of them. So let me just show you or tell you what I'm thinking about doing. Well, not thinking, I'm going to do is I'm going to make an art doll. And an art doll is just like it sounds. It is an artistic thing. It's not like a doll that you play with or anything. It is strictly an artistic thing. And I'm going to start by creating the head. And I've got some beige clay, but the beige, the Primo beige, really did, it's very translucent and it really didn't come out the way I wanted, so I used that but added a little bit of white and a little bit of ecru in order to come up with this color, which really is probably more of a skin tone anyway. But the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take off a piece here at the end because I'm going to use this for something else. Now, this is probably way too much clay for what I'm going to use, and I think you can see these probably better from the back. I've got these which are like moon faces, and I've got these which are tribal faces. And I really like the tribal faces because it kind of gives you a spirit type look. But I decided to go ahead and go with this doll face or this moon face. Look, it's not quite as round as this one. This one looks a little more feminine, I think. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put my tribal face away. I found these, what made me think about this is when I did my fairy house a couple weeks ago, I was going through my molds and I saw these molds and I thought, I'd never do anything with these. And I've got another one I'm going to use too that I'm real excited about. But anyway, so I'm just kind of taking this and getting it. This is the one I'm going to be pressing it in. I'm going to take some cornstarch. I know I didn't finish what I was saying, but I'm trying to get it sort of in the shape that I want. I started with a round ball and it just didn't seem to do very well. So I'm just going, there's cornstarch in there and I'm going to just tap that off because you don't need a lot. Just make sure that this is soft enough that it will go down into the details here, and then you just press and you press and you press, and with these type of molds, these are very flexible, so you need to press from both sides so that your clay gets all the way down into the center. Like we need to get it into this nose. So, and then if you notice, I'm pressing from the edges towards the center. And the reason I'm doing that is I want this head to be a little thicker than the mold is for. I tried doing the mold before and it really just wasn't quite thick enough. And I do believe I do still have some excess clay I can just cut off. But what I like to do is press from the edges until you can see the edge of the design in the mold. And that way you know that you're not going to be sticking out on the sides. But if you do, that's okay, because we'll fix that in the next step. But I just want this to be thicker than the mold. Now normally with the mold, you fill it like this and then you take a blade and you slice it off even. And I'm not going to do that, although I am going to try to even this up a little bit. But I'm staying well above. See, I only removed that much. See, I'm still this much above my mold. But I just want to make sure that this is going to work. And when I press on the edges like this, I try to taper it in a little bit. Whoops, I keep pulling it out. I hope I'm not messing it up. But I try to press it so it's angled a little bit to the back. It doesn't have to be round, but it should at least be angled towards the back. And then I'm just going to pull this out and see what we've got. And I did mess it up a little bit, but I can smooth that with my finger. Her eye's a little droopy, but this is the one I'm going to, I've already done another one, so this isn't going to matter. But what I would do then is take a knife and cut around the design, and again, I'm slanting it in. And then you can just kind of round this off a little bit. If you have a little roller, like I've got this small roller, you can roll this over the back to smooth it out. You can put texture on the back. There's a lot of things you can do. But like I said, I have done one of these already. I'm going to stick this back in because I'm not real happy with the design on the face because I messed it up by pulling it out. So let's just see if I can fix it. You may have to trim it again. Oh, but that's okay. Like I said, this is not the one I'm going to be using anyway. I've already baked the other one just to save some time. Anyway, so trim it up. Take your edges, smooth them with your fingers. You know, just get your face looking the way you want your face to look. And make sure that you've got some thickness on both ends. So this, it still does have some thickness here, so I'll be okay. Alright, so there's our face. Now, this doll is going to need two things. It's going to need a neck, and it's going to need some hair. So let me just pinch a piece off. Just kind of warm it up. And then flatten it out. And kind of make it in the shape of a neck. And this is going to be way too much clay. So let me trim it this way. just going to have to come out a little bit at the bottom. And just put it up to her to see how that looks. This will fit sort of underneath the way I've done this. Okay, that's going to look good, just about like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some wire, and this is 20 gauge wire. This is just Darice non-tarnishing gold wire. And I'm going to cut a piece, maybe, what's that, about 3 inches long. And I'm going to fold it in half, and I think I'll use this as a guideline. And it doesn't have to be exactly half, but as close to half as you can get. And then once you've got it bent, just squeeze it in a little bit. Of course, your wire is going to be bent a little bit, so that's okay. You can straighten it out as you go. But we need it to go, I guess, like that. Can you see that? Sort of like a hairpin. And I am going to cut these edges even just because it's going to be easier to work with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, starting at the top, and this is the narrow end of the neck, I'm going to press this wire through here, all the way through, and then push it all the way through. Actually, this I'm going to move out just a little bit. Not that it makes a big difference, but I just wanted a little bit more distance between. And see, it comes all the way through, and you're going to pull this to where there's just about, oh, what's that, maybe 3/8 inch of wire. And then you're going to take this. This is your face, and you're going to cut a slit with a knife, or you can use your blade. But cut a slit in here that's going to be large enough for this to go into, and push this in. And you can put it where you want it. Mold your clay to where it looks just like you want. Make sure it meets on the back. And there's their face. And we'll use this to attach it to the body. So now we're going to make some hair. Now I don't want to say the instructions, but I could tell you about making this cane, but I've already done a tutorial on this. If you will look at it was an early tutorial of mine about an easy bracelet. Or easy, I don't know if it says easy flower bracelet, but I'll put the link to that video below. But I've already done a video showing how to make these little, it's a petal. I used it as in a flower. So I think what I'm going to do is use this for the hair. Now, because this is blue, and I have this set of artistic wire, and this is all plastic coated wire. And the reason I like plastic coated wire is that when you put it in your clay, where is my other wire? Oh, here it is. When you put it in your clay and it bakes, the plastic kind of melts and bonds with the clay, so it stays in there pretty good. Now, there's several ways you can do this. I happen to have one of these. It's called a coiling gizmo, and I use this anytime I want to coil some let me get all my pieces out. Every time I want to coil some wire. And this piece, if you want to make a permanent place for it, and trust me, when I get my new workspace, I'm going to have a permanent place for this. But because I don't have a permanent place for this, let me move my camera out a little bit. And this is too thick. It's a drawer under here. I don't have a lot of lip to fasten on my work surface, but I can fasten it on my tile using one of these. Now this is just I know you've seen these. If you don't have any, your husband probably does. Let me release it. There. But what I did is I pulled this yellow piece, I pulled off of this so it would fit inside here. And I'm just going to just get that attached to my tile. And it's just so it would stay secure while I do my winding. So, and this is the piece that comes with it. There's actually two pieces. You have this one, which is a small little coil, and this one will make a wider coil. But I'm going to use the smaller coil. Let me put this back in the box before I lose it. And I'm going to take this wire, and see here there's this loop right here, and right in here it's a little bit narrower. So I'm going to take the end of this wire and wrap it around that little place there. So now you've got the wire that's attached here. Then I'm going to put this through my little gizmo, and let me see if I come in, if you can still see. So here I've got the wire wrapped around here, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to go counterclockwise just because that's where my wire is. But you just hold on to the wire and turn this little gizmo, and you see how it's coiling this wire. Now I'm not going to do a lot because I've already got some. But I'm finished with this. I'm finished with this. And what I usually do, rather than try to uncoil this, I usually just snip this wire. And most of it comes off. And then you slide this off. You have this coiled wire, and you can pull it out like this. So there's some squiggles. All right, I'm going to move my camera back up and put this back onto my work table. Throw away the little pieces. Now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to do one because I do have some more already made. But I'm going to cut, I would normally cut maybe 8 or 10 little pieces of wire. And I'm going to take my cane, or one that you make, and I'm going to cut a thick slice. And when I say a thick slice, at least 1/8 of an inch, if not a little bit more than that. And the reason is, you're going to straighten out one end to go into your quote-unquote hair, into your cane, and the other end is going to go in to the head. So I would take this and put it in on the round side of my cane and Just put your fingers on the top and the bottom of the cane so that you can feel the wire as it goes in. And this is pretty wimpy wire, so it's gonna fold on me. But just push it in and then push on your cane. Make sure it's stuck in there. And then take the other end and stick it in here. And you don't have to worry about arranging it right now. But when this bakes, everything will be stuck together, and that is where this one comes into play. You see what I mean in the difference in this clay and this one? This is very translucent, and I can see some placking in it. But look at the hair. Isn't that cute? And after it's baked and all this is attached, you can bend these any way you want to make hair. But I just think that is so cute. So, okay, so we're done with the head for a few minutes. Now let me, again, there's a lot of putting things away and just, let me put my canes away. Put my clay over here out of the way. Put my wire away. There's just so much. I'm going to leave these out in case I need that again, which I'm pretty sure I will. Alright, so now I've got this clay that I can make another one out of, and I may do that. I may make another one, or I might just redo that one so I can have a face that I like better. Okay. Alright, I'm going to pause for a minute while I get ready for the next step, and I will be right back. Okay, as you can see, move my camera back where it's supposed to be. I have conditioned, I really don't know how much clay this is. I would say at least 2 packs, 2 of the 2-ounce packs of clay. And I'm going to take, let's see, where did I put my little template? I made a little template of about the size that I wanted the body to be. And that might still be a little long. It's hard to tell without holding it up to the head. That looks about right for the body, or maybe a little bit shorter. I'll measure it after I get it to where I want it, so you'll have an idea. Yeah, I think that's a good size. So this is, don't have a ruler out. So this is about 2.5 inches wide. So this is, I said 2.5 by 3.25. So if you're into measurements. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 of these. And there's my blade. I'm going to cut 2. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this top line a little bit over so I'll know where to cut the other one. Don't know what that is I got on my clay. And then the other line is going to be about here. So that's 1. And then I will cut black is really hard to see, isn't it? I'll cut here. And don't throw this away because we need more We're going to need more clay. And I know I didn't come all the way across because my blade isn't long enough. But let me go ahead and cut this. Alright. So there's my two straighten it. Doesn't, well, you can straighten it up later too. I don't have to straighten it now, but I just noticed I cut this a little wonky. But anyway, so I've got two pieces that are the same size. Now I have got some texture sheets, and I pulled out some that I thought would go with this type of design, and I'm really liking this one. It sort of looks a little Aztec-y. I like all three of them, but I think I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to, first off, put one piece of clay on a patty paper. I'm going to dust my rubber texture. And please don't ask me where I got this texture, because I have had this for so long. And it seems like whenever I went to a clay retreat, I can't get this top back on, there we go. To a clay retreat, Polymer Clay Express was always there, and they always had loose things like this. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this on here just to help with the release. And I'm going to put it this way. And I'm going to press, because you want to make a good impression. But realize that this is the back. I'll have to do this again on the front, but not yet. This is the back. Okay, so let me see if maybe I can match these up a little bit. I don't know if they match or not, but it'll be close. And like I said, this is the back. If you hang these on the wall, this will be against the wall. There you go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this on a piece, turn it over, put the textured side down on top of a piece of cardstock, because that's just going to stay there until it goes in the oven. Alright, now we're going to take some of the, I've got some black wire. This is, again, is the plastic coated artistic wire. And I'm going to cut, oh, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches. This is not an exact art. Let me get this untangled before it crimps on itself, because this wire being so flimsy, it does have a tendency to curl on itself. But I'll keep these close to the same size. And one of them, and if you want to, you can, just so you can get them even, go ahead and put the tips together and just make a little crease and then open it back up. So you'll know where your center is. But this is going to be the arms. I think I'll have the arms come out right about there. And just press it down into the clay. And then this one, it's going to have a little bit bigger center to it, because this is going to be for the legs. Now this is not going to be the legs and the arms. This is just what we're going to use to attach the arms and legs to. Okay, then we're going to take our head. Here's my head. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to, right at the edge, try to center it, and I'm going to press the two wires that are hanging down from the neck. I'm going to press that down into the clay. Then I'm going to take this piece and put over top, and it's not going to be exactly the same because the other side we've pressed to get texture in, and we can trim that up in a minute. But then I'm going to take my texture and I'm going to do this again. Just lay it there. Press it in, because this is going to be the front of your doll. And trying to find a place that will kind of go with these lines. When I do this, and like I say, it doesn't really matter because this might get covered up in a minute anyway. There, I think that looks pretty good. Even looks like she's got shoulder pads. Alright, so there's the base for our doll, and we're going to put this aside. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it over. No, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to get out some perfect pearls, and I'm going to play. And she's got blue, and I keep saying she, so it's got to be a she, right? So she's got the green wire, so I'm going to at least put some green perfect pearls on her, and I'm going to tap it. Whoops, I just got it all over my table. And I don't know, I'll just put some right here. And I'll put some up there. Like I said, this is an art doll. You kind of do what you want to do. And I may even put some on the back. Whoops. I'm really going to have green perfect pearls all over everything. Because perfect pearls do better when it's on raw clay. And I've explained that before, but I will explain it again. That perfect pearls is different from most other mica powders in that there's a powdered resin in here. So when you bake your clay, the resin also bakes and becomes more solid. So the pearls are more permanent. So let's see. I think I have a forever blue somewhere. I don't think this is it. No. There it is. I'm going to incorporate the blue and the green. Then I can add some other colors, and I'll just put some blue there. some blue there. And I'll put some blue on the back. You don't have to do the back because this is made to hang on the wall, but sometimes if you hang it somewhere and it moves around, you want it to at least look decent on the back. Now let's add some other colors. What other colors would go with the blue and the green? Let me wipe my hands off. How about let's use some copper. I like copper. And just, you know, splash it on there somewhere. You know what I ought to do is put another here and then just flip it over this way. Then I don't have to pick it up. Alright, so I've got some metallic on there now. How about some purple? It's one of my favorite colors. While I've got the back up, I'll just put it on the back. And just kind of fill in some of your blank spaces with the purple. And let me add some more on the back because I don't think the back is totally covered. The front is. So let me just fill in the back with purple. Okay, now we're going to be playing with these again in a minute, so I'm going to just leave those over here. Let me turn this back over. There. Now is a good time to trim the excess from the back. Now you can use your blade. Sorry, I don't think I inhaled any perfect pearls, but you never know. Of course, you've got the wire in there, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. You can't cut through the wire. Actually, you probably could cut through the wire, but we don't want to. So I'm just going to try to even it up a little bit. And a little piece right there. And I don't, actually there's not much to trim there, but I will anyway. There you go. So now that's all trimmed. So this is ready. Well, actually I didn't do down here at the bottom because I'm going to need my blade, my X-Acto knife, to get this place in between the legs because my blade is not going to fit in there. Just be careful that you don't cut your wire because this is not the strongest wire. Funny, after it bakes, it gets harder. I guess the plastic hardens. But there we go. And I'm wondering, you know, this is an art doll, right? Although this is baked. I'll put something on it after. I was going to say I could put gold or something on her face. But let me put this aside. I'm going to put it over here on my baking tray. And my dog is in here. She needs to go outside, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. And you see I brought my doll back over because there is one step I forgot. I'm going to put some type of an inspirational thing on her body. So I'm going to take a piece of this black and I'm going to go down. Let me do this in a number 3. And then go down to a number 4. Because I want this to be kind of thin. And I'm going to put this on my patty paper. And I have this. I put everything in a box because everything kept falling. But I have this. I didn't know until I went to use it that one of the letter things is missing, but I put Dream on here. And I'm going to just stamp it. Make sure it gets in there pretty good. And then I'm going, oh, I probably ought to use a square. Let me get one of my square cutters. If I could see, excuse me for a minute, this is going to be glary, but I do need this extra lights so I can see. I'm going to try to cut out, hopefully in the center, the D and the R, E, A, and the A and the M are kind of close, but I didn't have any choice. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to turn this light back off. So, well, unless it's okay, maybe, maybe it won't be so bad. So I've got these letters punched out. And I'm going to take some gold perfect pearls. And hopefully, these are just so small, but hopefully I won't get it down in the letter. I love the way this black shows through, as long as you don't press too hard. So far, so good. Okay. Now this is kind of a rustic thing anyway, so it doesn't really matter that the letters aren't perfectly centered. But I'm going to take a little dab of liquid clay. First, let me place them. You put the M. And I don't want them all straight. If I can get the E in the middle. And like I said, I don't want them all to be straight, so if they're at a slant, that is fine. Oops. So there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick each one up and put just a little dab of liquid clay. And the reason for that is these perfect pearls have made this like a resist. And this clay won't stick if you don't have something to bind it. So just use a little drop of liquid clay. You could use Bacon Bond if you have that. I've been using Kato liquid clay for years, and it is my favorite. I absolutely love it. There, Dream. Alright, now it's ready to go over here to be baked. So there's the body. Now we're going to need arms and legs. Oops, I almost dropped it. So I'm going to use this clay that's left over, and I'm going to roll this out to maybe a number 3. And let me get another piece of patty paper here for this. And this I'm also going to texturize, but I think I'm going to use a different texture than I have on the body. And I'm thinking I'm going to use this. So again, I'll put it on the clay. This is going to be for the arms and the legs. So this time I get to use the whole thing. And I'm going to just press. Here's my roller. I thought I lost my roller. I'm not rolling my roller, I'm pressing with my roller. Don't know where all this stuff is coming from. Must have been on my roller. I just want to make sure that this texture gets all over, gets on all of the clay. Now, you've heard people say not to go back and forth when you're using texture, and that's probably right. Although it worked this time. It'll usually give you like a halo or a shadow. So now we've got this. And I'm going to use my ruler, get my black clay out of the way. I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to cut a straight edge right along here. And I'm going to cut a straight edge at the top. Now I'm going to cut 6 that are like 3/4 of an inch wide, which is like right there. Is this glare bothering you guys? I hope not, because it sure helps me to see this black better. And let me use one of my tools to mark this one. I can see that. So then I'm going to go from there to there. Let me go ahead and, well, I don't know how many I'm going to get. I better do 2 of them. Okay, just looking to see where this ended down here. Let me go ahead and cut this so I don't have to worry about that. Because I'd like to get enough for the arms out of this also. So this ends there, so I need 3/4. Well, let me see how many I get first. I'm going to cut at 1 1/4 inches. So that's 1 1/4 inches. And so 2 1/2 is 1 1/4 inches. So 3 1/2, 3 3/4 would be 1 1/4 inches. And then 5 would be 1 1/4 inches. And 6 1/4. Oh, I got all 6. Okay, good. Now I'm leaving them together, but this next section is going to be for the arms, and they're not going to be as big. They're going to be only 1/2 inch. So let me just make a mark here at 1/2 inch. And up here at 1/2 inch. And connect those two. Now these are only, well, let me go ahead and color them first, then I'll cut those. It's going to be more difficult to color those. But this is where the perfect pearls come back in. And we're going to use the same colors again. There's the purple, and the copper, and the blue, and the green. Now, you can do them all. You could do like a purple arm and a green arm and a blue arm, but I'm going to just still do like I did on the others and just smear the colors. Tell you, this green, it's so full. Every time I touch it, it spatters on me. And let me do the blue. You just do a little bit here and a little bit there. Put these back as I use them. I tell you, I'll be so happy when I get moved into my other craft space, because I'm going to actually have some room. I can't wait. It may take me a while, but I will get there. And let's put some copper. I love the copper. I think that's my very favorite perfect pearl, is the copper. And then I added a little purple, so I'll put a little purple on here. Where I didn't put anything else, I'll put some purple. don't think I'm going over that far, but that's all right. So I'm not doing, I should do the back on this too, but I'm afraid I'll mess these up. Well, let's try it. If I mess it up, it's clay, right? I can do it again. I will put this down. Well, I've got it on the other side, so it doesn't really matter. So let me do this again. Guess it helps if I put the texture on it. Now, this is the back, so I'm not as concerned about that, but I think it would look better, especially if the legs dangle or the arms dangle. And if you see the backs, maybe look nice to have. I don't want to roll it too much and change the shape. There we go. All right, now put some green. Get all the powders up off my table. And the blue. If you are tired of watching me do this, feel free to fast forward. I understand not everybody wants to see this, and then others want to see every little step, so do whatever makes you happy. As you can see, I'm not taking a lot of time. Didn't leave much room for the purple, but we don't need a lot of purple. It's just a color that would look good with these. Just to kind of fill in the blanks. So there we go. Now what I'm going to do, after I flip this over, is I'm going to put the 6 leg pieces that I cut. They got stuck back together because I pressed on them. Actually, I don't know which one is the front. Is that the front? Put them on a piece of cardstock so they can go in the oven. No, I only did 5, so I do need to cut another one. Otherwise, these are going to be lopsided. But on this one, I need just 1-inch pieces. Good thing I made extra. So let me see. Let me go. Where's the cut? There it is. So let me cut 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the arms. I was thinking when I was calculating that I needed more than 1 strip of the 3/4 inch. So let me just do that now. Where do I want to cut? Let me cut here. Alright, so 3/4 of an inch is right here. And 3/4 of an inch is right here. At least this way you're seeing how to do things if you mess up, because I certainly do mess up. Alright, now I want this to be, what is it, 1.25 inches? So let me 1.25 inches. So there's my 6th leg. And I'm also going to take, let's see, I pulled out my, I don't know that that's going to be big enough. I need something for a foot. And where, I've got some teardrop cutters somewhere. Here they are. This might be a bit big, but we'll use it anyway. I'm going to cut 2 teardrops, and this is just from the Sculpey teardrop cutters for feet. The hands, I think I'll do something else. If I don't have anything else, I do have cutters. So these are the feet. Now the only thing we need to do now is we need to poke holes in these so we can attach them. Let me do this one this way. So I'm going to get, let's see, actually the best thing to do that with is a little straw. The little coffee stirrer straws. I could do a bigger, use my needle tool, but I think this would work just as well. And on the legs, I'm going to need one and the hands, I'm going to need one at the top and at the bottom. And the clay is going to be going up in there, and then all you got to do is throw it away. This might be a little bit too big, but I'd rather it be big so these can move around than to be tight. And I'm afraid using my needle tool it might be a little bit too small. And again, don't worry about whether they're even. Because it's an art doll. Whoops. Pressed a little too hard. And the straw bent. Hope I can get all 12 in this one. Maybe not. Just turn it over and go from the other end. Now we're almost to the point where it's got to go in the oven. As soon as I get all my holes punched. If you want to make them closer to the edge, you can, but I've got some pretty big jump rings that I think I can use. Just remember when you put these together, that your jump ring has to be this big. So if you've got smaller jump rings, put your holes closer together, closer to the end. Did that split? No, I thought it split. Alright, so now these go in the oven. Oh, I didn't do that. So everything now is going to go in the oven, and I'm going to bake them at the manufacturer's suggested temperature, which is 275, and I'm going to bake these for an hour. You know me, I like to bake them everything at least an hour, but I do want these to be strong. So I will be back after everything has baked and cooled, and we will finish up our doll. Hi everyone, I'm back, and everything is baked. And I got to thinking about the jump rings, and I do have these jump rings, but they're silver and they're a pretty good size, but I'm thinking the silver would not look good on here, so I'm going to make my own, and I'm going to show you how I do that. It's really not complicated. Remember how we did the coil with the green wire for the doll's head hair? Well, it's basically the same thing, except I don't have a metal rod that's the right size. So what I'm using is this tiny little acrylic rod. This is the next to the smallest rod that's in Teresa Salgado's cane benders. This is the next to the smallest. It's not the smallest. And it's maybe, what is it? Not quite, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to use this same, was it 20 gauge wire. And I'm going to just hold this with my finger or with my thumb, and I'm going to just start wrapping. And I'm going to leave this up, this end up, so it'll give me something to hold on to. Let me come in just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. See how I've wrapped it around, and I've got this little tag still up, but that's where I'm going to put my thumb. And I'm just going to keep wrapping. And after you get started a few rounds, it's really very easy. And you just keep turning. And that you notice this isn't quite as tight as the coil that I did for the hair, because I had more control using that little rod. But this will work fine. Sorry, I went out. The only thing with doing close-ups is it gives me a much smaller window to use for my camera. Now I'm going to need quite a few jump rings. So I'm going to do quite a few of these. It's better to have too many than to not have enough. I think that's good enough. I'll tell you what, I'm going to just cut that off and just wrap the rest of it. There you go. Then you can slide your rod out and you're done with that. Alright, so let me come back out a little bit. Now the first thing I do usually is to cut off. The first thing is to hold on to them. But I cut off these little ends that are straight. So that I've got a circle there. And really all you do is just you do a snip, and if I've snipped it all the way through, this will come off. There it is. And you have a jump ring. Now I'm going to go ahead and snip several of them. I'm going to turn these around because I want to cut on this side. There's 2. So I guess that's going to be my magic number, is 2. And just cut until all of your jump rings are done. You can do them one at a time, which probably would work out better. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of jump rings cut. And let me get some round pliers. Because these aren't commercial jump rings, they're not going to be exactly flush here on the end, so you just need to do that. But I can do that as we work. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off, I'm going to leave about an inch, maybe, yeah, about an inch of this black wire on both the arms and the legs. Oh, I lost one of my pieces of hair. It was kind of, I'll glue it back on before we're finished. But it was kind of loose. I had a feeling it would come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to come down here and make a loop. Then bring this around to make the loop. Then I'm going to take this wire and wrap it think I need my, actually I need my needle nose. I have more pliers than I need. But at one time I did a lot of jewelry work. And you really need all these. I'm just going to put this circle, the round nose in here to hold that while I take my needle nose and grab this little wire and wrap it around. Because this wire is too thin to make a jump ring out of, so you kind of have to wrap it just to give it a little bit of strength. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Well, I lost another. Evidently, I don't think I cut these pieces very big, very thick, and some of them didn't get stuck in very well. So I've lost 2 of my little beads, but I'll glue them back on. I'm not worried about it. So again, we're going to wrap, put this back in to hold it. Take your needle nose and grab the little wire and just wrap it around the base of your loop. And when you get to the end, you can just kind of give it a little squeeze. Okay, so there's that one. And we're going to do the same thing on the legs. Okay, I have got loops on all 4. This one just doesn't look good, but you know, I don't really care. As long as the loop is there. I don't think you'll be able to see a whole lot anyway. But before I go on any further with this, I want to do something with the face. Because you know, I wasn't real happy with this color of the clay. So I think what I'm going to do is take some brown acrylic paint and let me get my little oyster bowl out here. Just put a little bit in here. I'm not going to need much. I'm almost out of this paint because I use it a lot to antique. There we go. This is burnt umber. And see, this is just cheap craft paint. I'm going to take this paint. I'm not going to water it down this time because I want some color on here. So I'm going to just paint her with this brown paint. And make sure that the paint gets down in all the little crevices. And I need to do the back too. Don't forget the back. And you just kind of have to do the best you can around your wires. Okay, and then I'm going to take a paper towel And I'm going to start with a dry paper towel, and if that doesn't take off enough, then I will wet it. But just kind of wipe off the paint. I like that a lot better already. Doesn't that look better than that translucent mess that I had? Some people like to use baby wipes. I find I pull off too much paint with baby wipes. So I usually stick with a paper towel, but if you would rather use a baby wipe, this is your art doll. I'm going to get a Q-tip to get in here around this wire. Maybe soften her nose a little bit, but I like that. I think that is much nicer. Now let me get this paint out before it dries. If you remember the last time I used it, I let it sit here and it got dry, and then I had a terrible time getting it out. I'm just going to spray my hands with some water. And wipe it off with a paper towel. But that even blends better with the rest of the doll. And if you wanted to take more off and make it a lighter color, you can. But I kind of like that color. I like that a lot. So now I'm going to put this little doll together. So we've got legs. And I'm going to try to get them sort of similar. Maybe not. I'm going to line those up that way. I'll do that way. And I'll do the same with the arms. Just line them up the way that you might want them. Oh, I forgot to get my beads out. And I'm going to use these for the feet. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 2 pair of pliers and open up my jump ring. Always open it to the side. And I'm going to put one in this little hoop. And one end in here. And then I'm going to close it up. There you go. And so I'll do the same thing on this side. You put it through this hoop. But I like this brass color. Better than the silver color. So I'm glad I went with these jump rings. And it also gave me a chance to show you how to make jump rings. And just line up your edges of the openings. Make sure that they're closed. So there's 2 legs. And let's do another one. And I'm going to continue adding these I think you've probably seen two of them. You probably know. Let me just do one where you connect one to the other. This one, you would just connect, put this through this hole, if you can get it at the right angle, and this one through this hole. Now just remember, this is going to fall down, so if I do it this way, you want the opposite end. And then pull those back together. And then that folds down, and there's the second leg, part of the leg. So I'm going to continue doing this, but I will fast forward so you won't have to watch all of it. Okay, you can see that I've finished the legs, and I really like the looks of these little teardrops on the end, just to give you the illusion of feet. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the arms. Okay, I wanted to show you, I didn't have anything cut for the hands. I could have cut a smaller teardrop, but what I had planned to do was to use these little beads. They look like little flowers. And I was going to take those and put them on the jump ring, but it doesn't seem to want to go. Maybe it's because, maybe I need to flatten it out a little bit, which is a no-no. You're not supposed to do that. So let me do it this way. Where's my wire? I'm going to cut another piece of wire. Let's see if it'll go through here straight, which it does. And then I will use my little rod. Probably should have done this on the end of the wire instead of there. Maybe I'll make it smaller. Anyway, I'm going to fiddle with this until I get a little round thing to hold this on, and I'm just going to have this little bead be the hand. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm doing this. So I got out another pair of pliers that I have that make different size round nose. And I cut this one, I probably shouldn't have. So let me go back to my long piece. If worse comes to worse, I can use the black. I just don't know how the black will hold. But I'm going to use this. You see, this has got 3 different sizes, well actually 6. This is the largest, the next largest, the next largest, the next largest, the next largest, and the smallest. So I'm going to try wrapping this around the largest and see if that's too big. Which it probably is. So I'm going to go to the next largest. If I can get it to hold. And I'm using my fingers instead of my pliers because I need to kind of pull with my fingers. Alright, so let me pull this one around. Now I'll use my pliers. Pull that one around. And pull this one around. And I think that's a better size. So what I'm going to do is cut these at the same place to make a jump ring, and then we can do this just like the other. We can separate it. I got so many pair of pliers here now. Whoops. Threw it across the table. Separate it. Put it in here. And you may not like this. I was looking actually for some little gold beads that I had, but I couldn't find them. But that's just something to give the impression of a hand. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other arm in fast forward, and then I'll be back. Okay, so here we go. I'll glue these back on. I'll just use some super glue. But I don't think I can show you the whole thing. Am I out all the way? There we go. But look at that. Isn't that cool? This is our very own art doll. I'll probably redo this since this one wasn't very round. This one I did in a snap. It was so easy, but of course I didn't have the camera on. But this would be our art doll. If you like, what you can do is take another piece of wire. Of course it would require another baking. But you could take another piece of wire, and I think I would wrap it around that same little dowel, but I'm not making a loop out of it this time. I'm just going to bend it. And what I would do, if it were me, I would bend these out. I would put this here, and I'm not going to do this, but since I've got this here, I'll show you what I probably will do. Cut a piece of the colored clay that you have left over. Let me flatten this out so it'll lay flat on here. Leave it up, leave a loop. Then I would take this piece of clay. I'd use some liquid clay. I may as well go ahead and do it since I'm talking about it. And I'll just bake it later. But make sure you put enough liquid clay or Bake Bond. You can use either. I just prefer liquid clay. I think I've mentioned that before. And just going to sort of smooth this out a little bit. Put that there. Put this over top of it. Make sure this is in the middle. Don't want it sticking out. And bake this. Bake this, and then you can use this to hang it on the wall. And that would be your art doll. I don't know about you, but I love this. It is just so cute. Of course, I'm going to glue my little beads back on. The others seem to be okay. So I've got my little wires sticking up. I'll just glue these back on. But I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I had a ball. I really enjoyed this. So until the next time when I have another project for you, this is Gayle Thompson. I wish you a happy holiday. I do have a holiday coming up. And happy claying. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.